everybody. If y'all have seen my April Fool's prank, then you know I will probably be in the doghouse tonight when he gets home. He was on a conference call when I called and did my little prank, my April Fool's prank, and he was mad. So anyway, yesterday we read chapters 1 and 2 of Junie B. Jones and the Mushy, Gushy Valentine. She's so cute. She's got little antenna hearts. All right. Chapter 3 is picking out Valentines. And as we found out yesterday, Junie likes to say Valentimes with an M. And so do I. I have always said Valentimes. And I get picked on for it, but who cares? Anyway, chapter 3, picking out Valentines. The Valentine's box turned out very beautiful. After it was finished, Mrs. passed out a list for us to take home. The list had the names of all the children in room 9. There are 18 children in our class, said Mrs., so that means that everyone needs to bring 18 Valentines. I raised my hand. Do we bring Valentines for ourselves too? I asked her. Well, no, she said. I mean, there's no rule against it, I suppose, but Valentines are really supposed to be given to others. She thought for a second. Well, oops, I guess that means I made a mistake, doesn't it, she said. Since you won't be bringing in cards for yourselves, you will only need to bring in 17 Valentines. I raised up my hand again. Yeah, only what if we also want to bring a Valentine for you, Mrs., I asked. Mrs. raised her eyebrows. Well, then you would be back up to 18 again, wouldn't you? 17 plus 1 equals 18. I tapped on my chin, very thinking. Yeah, only what if there's people in here we don't actually like that much? Do we have to bring them a Valentine too? Yes, Junie B., she said. Of course you do. Valentine's Day is a day of friendship for everyone. So every single boy and girl in room 9 will bring a card for every other boy and girl. After Mrs. finished explaining, she sat back down at her desk. I zoomed up there and whispered in her ear. Yeah, only I know I have to bring cards to the regular boys and girls, I said, but I don't have to bring cards to the big fat stinky heads, do I? All of a sudden, Mrs. throwed her arms up in the air. Yes, Junie B., yes you do, she said, for the last time. You will bring a card for everyone in room 9, even the big fat stinky heads. Just then, all of room 9 looked at her. 'Cause teachers are not supposed to say big fat stinky heads, I don't think. And here's Mrs. throwing up her hands and freaking out about Junie B. And she calls kids big fat stinky heads. All right. After that, Mrs. closed her eyes for a real long time. Then finally, she stood up real slow and she went to the sink and she took aspirin. The next day was Saturday, and it was the funnest Saturday ever, 'cause Daddy took me to the drugstore and he bought me beautiful hair antennas for my head. Plus also, he let me pick out my very own box of Valentines. And here's the little antennas on Junie B's head. They're so cute. She's such a cute little girl. But she's a mess. After we got home, Mother helped me pick out the perfect cards for every person in room 9. First, I picked a card for my bestest friend named Lucille. It had a lovely princess on the front of it. This one, Mother, I said, I will give this one to Lucille, 'cause when she grows up, she is going to marry an expensive prince, and she is going to let me and Grace sweep her castle. Plus, also, we will get to wear her raggedy, used-up gowns. Mother looked at me. Lucille is a regular saint, she said very quiet. I know it, I said. Me and that Grace are so lucky to have her, Mother. After that, I found the perfect card for Grace, too. It had 2 running shoes on the front of it. Mother read me the words. It said, Valentine, you and I make the perfect pair. We do, Mother, we do. Me and that Grace do make the perfect pair, 'cause Grace can beat me at running. And I can beat Grace at lots of other stuff too, probably. only I haven't actually found anything yet. After that, I picked out special cards for all the other children in room 9. Every time I picked out a Valentine, Mother crossed out a name off the list. Finally, there was only one name left. Jim, said Mother. You still need to pick a card for Jim. I did a big sigh. Because I didn't want to give that guy one, of course. I looked all through my box of Valentines. Then, all of a sudden, I saw a card with a funny skunk on the front of it. That one, I said. I will send Jim that one. Mother shook her head. I don't know, Junie B., she said. A picture of a skunk just doesn't seem very nice. I put it in an envelope. Perfect, I said, 'cause neither is Jim. Looks like this little girl knows her stuff. Chapter 4, The Disagreement. On Monday, I skipped into room 9 very thrilled. Mrs., look, I said. I have all my Valentines for the big giant Valentine's box. They are right here in this paper bag I am carrying. I run and showed her inside it. See them, missus? I matched every single card to the exact person who will get it, I explained. Mrs. patted my head, and she said the word good job. Then she took me by my hand, and she showed me how to put my Valentines through the mail slot in the box. I do believe that you are the very first person in room 9 to bring in her cards, said Mrs. I did a gasp at that exciting news. First, Mrs., I asked. I really am first? After that, I sprinted way high in the air, and I ran around and around in a circle. I've never been first at anything before, I said real squilly. Not ever, never. And so what is my prize for winning? I closed my eyes real tight and held out my hands. Put it right in my hands, okay, missus? I won't even peek, I promise. After that, I stood there real patient, but nothing got put in my hands. Finally, Mrs. bended down next to my ear. Junie B., honey, I'm really sorry, but there is no prize, she said. We weren't actually having a contest. I opened my eyes. We weren't? I asked. Mrs. shook her head. My shoulders slumped a teeny bit. So then, a prize would be out of the question, probably, I asked. Mrs. shrugged. Well, I'm afraid I didn't buy any prizes, she said. After that, I rocked back and forth on my feet, and I thought and thought. Would you have a mint in your drawer, maybe? Or some stickers? I asked. Mrs. smiled. Then she took me to her desk, and we looked in her drawer. How about a broken piece of chalk and a yellow rubber band, she asked. Sold, I said. After that, Mrs. told me congratulations, and she gave me my prizes. I quick skipped to my table to show them to Lucille. She wrinkled up her nose. Yuck! Have you been going through the trash can again? She said. No, silly. These are my prizes, I said. I got prizes for bringing in my Valentines first. Lucille smoothed her dress. Yes, well, I would have brought my cards in today too, but they're not back from the printers yet, she said. The what? I said. What printers? The printers where they print my name on the cards, she said. Wait till you see them, Junie B. Every card will have love and kisses from Lucille on the bottom of it. She hugged herself. They are so beautiful, she said. Each Valentine has a cherry lollipop on the front, and the lollipop is in the shape of Cupid. She sighed very dreamy. Cupid is the symbol of Valentine's Day, you know, she said. Of course I know, I said back. Plus also skunks and shoes are a symbol of Valentine's Day too, 'cause that's what are on my cards. After that, me and Lucille did our work till recess. Then both of us went outside to play with our other bestest friend named Grace. Only too bad for us, 'cause Lucille kept on bragging about Valentine's Day, and that's how come she and that Grace got into a disagreement. I'm going to get more Valentines than anyone, bragged Lucille. That's because the boys love me way better than other girls, and they will bring me lots and lots of cards. Grace looked curious at her. But Mrs. said you only bring one card for every boy and girl, remember? Not lots and lots. Lucille flounced her fluffy dress. Silly Grace, look at me for goodness sake. I am precious. And when you're precious, boys automatically bring you lots and lots of Valentines. They just can't help themselves. She twirled all around. I am the cutest girl in room 9. I'm the cutest girl in room 9, Grace, she said. I am way cuter than anyone else. She giggled and pointed. Even you. After that, Grace did a little frown, 'cause that hurt her feelings, I think. I tapped on Lucille. Yeah, only Grace is the nicest, Lucille, I said, and so maybe the boys will bring her lots of Valentines, too. Lucille did a huffy breath at me. But I'm richer than Grace, Junie B, so that is another reason to bring me more, she said. I thought for a minute. Yes, but Grace can run faster, I said. So, said Lucille, my hair is longer, and boys like long hair, you know. Here is Lucille bragging about that. Lots and lots of boys are going to give her lots and lots of Valentines because she's rich and because she's precious and because she has long hair. And that's made Grace and Junie B upset. I looked and looked at Grace's head. But Grace's hair is springier and curlier, I said, and that is as cute as a button. Lucille made squinty eyes at me. But I have a big screen TV and a pool, she said real loud. That's how come me and Grace leaned our heads together and we got in a huggle. Finally, I looked up at Lucille. Okay, so now here's what we came up with, I said. Grace can whistle through her teeth, plus she can wiggle her ears, and also she can dribble a basketball through her legs while she's running. Lucille jumped up and down. But I have a pony, she hollered. I patted her very sympathetic. Sorry, I said real soft. Grace has a snake. After that, Lucille's shoulders got very sagging, and she sat down in the grass. 'Cause boys love snakes way better than anything. Pretty soon, that Grace sat down next to Lucille, and she put her arm around Lucille's shoulders, and she patted her. 'Cause guess what else? Grace is a good sport. All right, that is chapter 3 and 4, and chapter 5 is Valentine's time. And in a little bit, I'll read that. Okay? Bye, everybody. I love you.